set this up in 2015 with Neil, who we met through the rugby club. It's a big connection in our lives. And within the business now, we can do, we roast the coffee, we do cuppings, tastings, coffee training, equipment, servicing, maintenance, next day delivery, everything. We've got award-winning espressos and coffees, but we do teas, we do chocolate, we do decaf, we do, everything that, you could want as a business, as a coffee shop or a hotel, and all the service and support and periphery around it as well.
Most business owners I speak to say the same thing about AI. We don't know what we don't know. You may be losing hours every week to slow follow-up, repeated admin, and tasks that still depend on you, the business owner. My AI blind spot assessment finds where AI could make the biggest difference to your business. Give me 90 minutes and we may uncover hundreds of hours you could save over the next year. Check out the link in the show notes or drop me a message directly. Okay, back to the show. Welcome to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast, the show where we shine a light on the incredible businesses, community leaders, and local legends shaping our town. I'm your host, James O'Donnell, and today we are joined by Neil. Neil, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, James. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. For those of us who don't know you yet, who are you and what do you do here in Bishop Stortford?
Name's Neil Clark. I'm a business partner with another chap called Neil, and we own and run a Hessian Coffee Company, which is a coffee roaster. We've been going for 15 years as we are. Based in Stortford, we supply local cafés, restaurants, hotels, not just in Stortford, but up and down the country. And have a bit of fun while we're doing it, and enthusiastic and passionate and friendly.
Fantastic. I love coffee. I'm sure a lot of people listening in love coffee as well. There's enough coffee shops in Bishop Stortford probably to keep you going for most of the week. What part of coffee are you involved with? Do you roast? Do you look after machines? Where are you?
Yeah, great question. All of it, really. So I've been personally in the industry for about 25 years, worked for a Glaswegian coffee roaster, covering the kind of country, and I was the sales guy in the south. I then worked for a Irish machine manufacturer, and then after 7 years, set this up in 2015 with Neil, who we met through the rugby club. It's a big connection in our lives. And within the business now, we can do, we roast the coffee, we do cuppings, tastings, coffee training, equipment, servicing, maintenance, next day delivery, everything. We've got award-winning espressos and coffees, but we do teas, we do chocolate, we do decaf, we do, everything that, you could want as a business, as a coffee shop or a hotel, and all the service and support and periphery around it as well.
Fantastic. I didn't realize the rugby club was your, catalyst for starting. What was the spark that got you together?
Again, alcohol was involved. To start off with, I wasn't too happy in my job. Neil wasn't too happy in his job. I was coaching rugby and I was coaching some kids, and one of his kids, he was the Minis chairman at the time, and he was travelling down to Brighton for his job. He was self-employed in an IT business, and he was going down to Brighton on a Monday and back up on a Friday. And it wasn't a great quality of life. I was traveling a lot, wasn't seeing much of the family, and not very happy. And then, I think we decided to have a drink and see what we could do and bang our heads together. And came up with this idea, and here we are, survived COVID, survived each other, and and the families get involved as well, which is great.
Brilliant. To start a company up from nothing and to grow it up to and keep it going for 15 years is
absolutely. I mean, it was a real gamble. Yeah, it remortgaged the house, and squeaky backside time and everything else, and took a bit of convincing with the wife to release some money to afford to pay ourselves. And we set up a little business called Being Delivered, which was a coffee subscription business through letterboxes while we were both kind of still working. And then that kind of took off a little bit, and then we had the opportunity to buy into a business that had some customers that are based in Saffron Walden. So we bought that business, and then from that, we still got some of those customers, but we expanded that, and that gave us a bit of the impetus to be brave, take that leap of faith, and jack our day jobs in, and then go full time in it. And then 2015, so we had a good few years. And then obviously COVID came along, and and then we survived that, which is great. The business kind of pivoted. I know that's one of those business words. Obviously, coffee shops and hotels were shut, so we went down the domestic route and set up another kind of Being Delivered website where we provided local coffee. And I was taking the kids out cycling around Bishop Stortford, and we were hand delivering coffie during COVID times. It was great. And again, we've got a lot of customers still, and that's kind of grown as well.
So is that you've got a kind of commercial arm that goes to domestic, and then also you look after business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I'm happy to give plugs to people. We've got some amazing customers in Stortford. Rosie Lee, they've got 3 sites. one up at Wickham Hall, one in Market Square, and one down at North Weald. So that's a great little place down there. We've got Skew Restaurant. They do a phenomenal meal and great. South Street Pantry. Who else have we got? Terrace Cafe. The guys in the park. I think you've had Sophia and Charles on, or you know the guys anyway.
Yeah, I know them, yeah.
And and then kind of out of Stortford, we've got, quite a few bits and pieces up and down the country. And so it's good. It's a great little business. And I say, they're a small flavour of our kind of commercial business. And then, the online domestic stuff, we hand deliver or we next deliver to them as well.
This episode is supported by the Bishop Stortford Community Newsletter. There's so much happening in town, it's hard to keep up. New businesses opening, community events, local stories, and opportunities for all of us to get involved and make Bishop Stortford a great place to live. That's why we created a free weekly newsletter that brings together the best of Bishop Stortford in one place. There's no endless scrolling, no hunting through Facebook groups, just the stories, events, and local updates that matter. If you'd like to stay connected to what's happening in Bishop Stortford, sign up using the link in the show notes. Okay, back to the episode. And for people at home, bean to cup, like I have a bean to cup, but what does that mean?
Okay. Do you want a little whirlwind of coffee?
Yes, please.
So coffee isn't grown over here. It's grown in hot countries. It's grown at altitude, anywhere between, remember your geography days at school, you've got the equator around the middle and you've got the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer, anywhere between that kind of belt over in kind of Africa, and some of the Central Americas and some of India's. So Guatemala, Kenya, El Salvador, Ethiopia, a place like that where they've got a really, really good climate, you can grow coffee. Two main kinds, Arabica and Robusta. Arabica grows up a mountain. Robusta is kind of sea level. Different countries grow different coffees depending on the climate or different flavored coffees. A lot of the time it's kind of shade grown, the coffees, which is under other plants and flowers. So it's, really, really pretty. India's great for Robusta. I was out there a couple of years ago and saw it and had the opportunity to go and see some of our roasters, some of our growers. That was phenomenal. Takes about 5 years to grow. Hand-picked, so very labor intensive. It's not actually a bean, it's a seed inside a plant. This is Eden. This is a coffee plant. Yeah, it's called Eden because it came from Eden, what's it called, down in Cornwall.
Yeah,
where they
the Eden Project.
Eden Project, where they grow coffee. So it can't be grown for production in the UK, but that's what one looks like. So it takes about 5 years, grows to about my height, the average height. As I say, takes about 5 months to be hand-picked and rolled out over here to the UK. We then roast it. And so we blend before, so we might blend a certain kind of Arabicas from different growing areas into each other to get our toast profile. We roast, we package, but we then ship out and we deliver. So
So are you delivering full beans or ground beans or?
Yeah, good question. Both. I mean, primarily beans in bean form to customers. So it goes back to the question about a bean to cup machine and a traditional machine. So beans, you can't just drink beans because you can't do anything with them. You can eat them. You've all seen what coffee beans look like, but you can't just eat them straight away. So they're green when we get them. So we roast them. So that what that does, it cracks open the beans and it swells and expands and it lets all the aromas out and the flavors come out. Once they've been cooked, it's like a joint of beef in the oven. So you've got your raw joint of beef, you put it in the oven, it starts to color and the smells start to come out, starts to flavor nicely. If you overcook it, then you get really kind of burnt beef on the sides. Some people like that, some people don't. If you undercook it, it's not very nice. So it's just like the same. When you open the oven, it smells wonderful. Coffee is exactly the same. But it's when you cut it and you taste it, that's when the flavors come out of it, so the beans themselves. So a bean to cut machine will have we call it a hopper on the top of the bean to cut machine. So you tip the beans in the top, press a button, and it does it all for you. Whereas a traditional machine you'll see in a cafe or a restaurant where they've got the barista who's got the handles and they grind the beans off, they tamp it down, they foam the milk up. They do pretty patterns on top and that kind of stuff. So yeah, two main kinds of that. So as a business, we do both. And a lot of places will like traditional machines because they like the theatre of making that cup of coffee. And then a bean to cup machine from a self-serve or from a consistent cup of coffee point of view is very good.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Look, I didn't know that you guys were here until I found you, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah,
and I want to get the community on board. It's such a strong coffee community in Bishop Stortford.
Yeah.
Everybody goes out for a coffee.
Absolutely.
It's a great community driver. It helps conversation.
Yeah.
It really does. So how can we support you as a business? Where do we go online to buy coffee from you? To follow along?
Yeah, I think for me, I can bang my own drum. I think if people are out, and I think people need to understand that coffee is expensive, and it is getting more expensive. My prices go up. It's the second biggest commodity in the world after oil. You look at the oil petrol pumps every day, and they do that. Coffee is exactly the same. So as a business, we can manage a lot of that. We can mitigate quite a bit of it by forward purchasing and buying stuff in the futures. Coffee prices go up, and it has a knock-on effect on the high street, and high street prices put their coffee price up. So I think, as it would be great to support more independent businesses, because Costa, Starbucks, Nero, not a problem with them. Without these guys, the industry wouldn't be where it is. The high street wouldn't be where it is. But I think, it's the independent businesses that, do a phenomenal job. I'm not saying that these guys don't, but I think it's the independent businesses that support smaller little independent roasters like myself. And yes, I'd love more high street business. I'd love more commercial customers. But I think, if we were to be better on the high street in terms of supporting, there's some great places, and I could list from South Street all the way up the other end, and there's some wonderful coffee shops. And, a lot of them are using independent roasters, which are local. Some are not local. Some are, from out the country. But, it's independent, it's looking after the high street, I think. That we could all do a bit more than that.
Yeah, fantastic. I think one of the great things I always think about Stortford is there's so many options to shop independent.
Yeah, for sure.
But we have to use those options.
Yes.
And that's what keeps the high street, as independent as possible. And it's quite a unique thing about Bishop Stortford. If you go any other high street, it's very different. Let's get out and support.
Yeah.
Where's the best place we can find you online to, keep in contact, to buy from you? And
it's hessiancoffee.com, www.hessiancoffee.com. And that kind of tells you a bit about us, a bit about the business. It talks about, our vending side of it as well. So we can support, vending, offices, home stuff as well. Back to your earlier question, we do whole beans. We can grind the beans off. We do 500 gram bags. So you're not having to buy, kilo bags at a time, although it's more cost effective to do that if you're drinking that much coffee. And we can advise on kind of brewing gadgets. I mean, there's drinking coffee at home is so easy these days. So there's amazing home gadgets out there. So we can support and advise on some of them as well. So.
Brilliant. What we'll do is we'll put the link to that in the show notes so people can check it out. Yeah. And I do advise people to check it out. It's a great website. And any businesses out there that are buying coffee, go and talk to Neil as well. There's some great options there.
And as I said earlier, we have some fun while we're doing it, and I'm more than happy to advise and point people in the right direction. And if they come to us as a customer, then happy days. But if they just want some advice on equipment, some advice on something to brew at home, some advice on anything, then we're quite open to do that.
Thanks for that, Neil. Thank you so much for sharing all of that today as well. It's been really really fantastic. I've enjoyed myself a lot.
Good.
Are you ready for some Stortford Spotlight questions now?
Yeah, let's do it.
This episode is being supported by one of my businesses, a brilliant local business called StortBox. If you've ever moved house, you'll know the pain of hunting for cardboard boxes, building them, taping them up, and then figuring out what to do with them afterwards. StortBox makes moving simpler with strong, reusable moving crates delivered straight to your door and collected when you're finished. Less stress, less waste, and a much easier move. It's a local business helping local people move smarter. So have a look at StortBox in the show notes below and see if it can make your next move a little bit easier. Okay, back to the episode. Excellent. These are 3 super fast questions we ask every guest that come on to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast. First question. If you could put one sentence on a billboard in Jackson Square, what would it say and who needs to hear it the most?
Do you know what? It's going to say, don't be an Feel free to bleep that out.
Sure.
Be better. I think we could be so much better as human beings. The little things like, helping people out, holding doors open, letting people through, being a courteous driver, stuff like that. I mean, it just annoys me. So I think be better, just be better. There's a lot of, you kind of think, why would you do that? Why would you antagonize? Why would you make that comment on that social media post about something that's not relevant? And it's just like, I think, for me, it would be, be better.
Brilliant. I love it, Neil. Thank you for giving me some extra editing to do. But it's a valuable message. And, that's the whole point of the podcast, is to shine a positive light on things so that people can see the great things that are going on in Bishop Stortford. And hopefully by seeing your billboard, they'll make better choices.
Hopefully. I'll probably get a complaint for swearing in public. But there we
go. We're all friendly. Okay, question 2.
Okay.
Challenging one for you, Neil.
Yeah.
Where do you go in Stortford that you secretly hope never gets too popular?
Oh, see, yeah, This is a tough one because, as I said, we've got some amazing customers, and I can't shine a light on one without shining a light on all of them. So it's not going to be a coffee. For me, I think I enjoy. We're all very busy at work, busy at home. I've got 3 boys. One's disabled. Heavily involved with volunteering, heavily involved with work, heavily involved doing lots of stuff. I like a bit of peace and quiet from time to time. So the river walk, I just think it's fantastic. Jump on the river, walk down towards Sawbridgeworth, maybe come off at Spellbrook and get a nice cup of coffee down there, by the way, and then back up over the fields. It's about a 5K walk. Probably takes me about 45 minutes, an hour or so. Headphones on, and just chill out. Having a bit somewhere to go, and somewhere that's on your doorstep that is incredibly pretty. It's well managed, it's well maintained, and kind of clear the head. So not in town for me, although everyone is doing a wonderful job, and I hope that continues. A bit of peace and quiet for me, and a walk along the river every
Wonderful. Really is. There are so many places like that around Stortford, which are those quiet spaces for people.
Oh, it's
where can you get a coffee in Spellbrook?
So there's a little place called Loch and Latte. So it's I think it's an old horse box that the guys down there by the railway crossing. So that's probably 20 minutes once you get off of Pig Lane, turn right down the river there. 20 minutes later, a nice cup of coffee. And so you can either cross over the road and come up through, I think it's Parsonage Lane, and then back up round the back of the kind of new houses. But it's very pleasant.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thanks for the recommendation on that, Neil. I'll give it a go at some point, but we won't make it too busy. We'll keep it quiet. Question number 3, last question. Yeah. Who's doing something special in town that more people need to know about?
Again, this is a super tough one because there's some amazing businesses out there. There's amazing, friendly, independent businesses, shops, restaurants. It's incredible. I think for me, it needs to be a shout out for the volunteers that do a sterling job. And I know it's a community podcast, and it's something that I'm heavily passionate about is kind of, just volunteering as and when you can. I've done bits and pieces for the food bank. They do, sadly, we have to have a food bank, but, it's all run by volunteers. They do a great job. And as I alluded to earlier, the rugby club is a big part of my life, and my kids have kind of grown up there. The amount of people that volunteer up there that put themselves through coaching, qualification, EBS checks, state courses, or just to, give kids, and it's open to anybody, give kids the opportunity to play rugby. The rugby club's a phenomenal place. I think there's like 1,300 members up there. Biggest fireworks display in Hertfordshire. There's over 100 volunteers that do it. We have a mental health program up there that is managed by volunteers, and that does fundraising, and that means if anybody needs any kind of mental health issues or any support and counsellors, within 24 hours, the club can fund and support and set up these sessions. Again, NHS, you're waiting for, months and months and months. Again, not knocking the NHS, far from it, phenomenal. But, the rugby club, through volunteers, through fundraising, they kind of do that. So it's a shout out for me, not just for kind of one person, but for anybody that volunteers, and for giving up their time.
I totally agree with that. Like, this community works because there are people in it that put their energy and their time into making it a better place. And that's through, teaching sport, through fundraising, just helping others.
Yeah.
And it's testament to the community that there are so many people out there that do it. And every day I'm meeting more and more. By doing the podcast, I'm lucky enough to meet more people and hear about more stories. It's fantastic. It really is. Neil, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
I really appreciate it. First ever podcast. Thanks, James. Really good.
What's your Instagram handle so people can follow along and watch what you're up to?
At Hessian Coffee. So all the links are on the web page as well. And
we'll definitely link to those so that people can follow along and support the journey. Can keep it going for another 15 years.
Awesome, that's great.
Neil.
Okay. Thanks, James.
No worries. If you've enjoyed this episode, the best way to support the show is to hit follow, leave a quick review on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and then share it in your socials, or maybe share it with someone in town who's not on social media but drinks coffee. Get in contact with Neil, get some coffee from Hessian Coffee, and support a local business. And if you've got a local legend, a volunteer, a club, a project that you think we should feature next on the podcast, drop their name in the comments below. I can reach out to them and invite them on the podcast. Again, Neil, thank you so much for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community.
Done a great job. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.